just go there to support your man, your good looking, chiseled, built, muscular man. What's the story, morning glory? What's the tale, nightingale? Greetings and salutations, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for joining me on this season finale review of 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way, Love is Love. So, let's start off with Jenny and Submit. So Jenny and Submit, okay, they made me eat my words from last week because I would have bet my whole entire annual paycheck that these two people were not going to get married, that Submit was going to finagle his way out of marrying Jenny. And he proved me wrong. And I'm happy that he proved me wrong because it was good to see a happy ending to a very stressful season with these two people. So let's get started. So Submit is working out, and I've noticed in the confessionals, Submit does seem a little bit slimmer. So he's been doing his thing, taking care of himself, which is good. So Submit and Jenny, they're talking in the bed, and Submit tells Jenny that maybe she is beginning to feel insecure in the relationship, basically insecure about him, and that she may be losing hope and trust in him, and he doesn't want that to happen. He doesn't want to ruin their relationship. So he wants to regain the confidence. He wants her to regain confidence back into the relationship. And he wants to keep experiencing the love, the adoration, the security of being with Jenny. And so he says that he's ready. He says, I'm ready, you're ready, and that's good. And that his fear of getting married is not as big. This is a big one, y'all. His fear of getting married is not as big as his fear of losing Jenny. So Jenny was like, okay, well, if it's like that, then are you ready to call the lawyer to submit the paperwork? And he said he was ready. So they get on the FaceTime with the lawyer. And the lawyer basically, literally, it looked like, clicked one button and said the paperwork is submitted. The application for the marriage has been submitted. Y'all are ready to get married. So Submit seemed really genuinely happy. This is the first time in a very long time that I have seen Submit genuinely happy about anything to do with Jenny. So the paperwork is submitted. Then Jenny goes to get her henna done the next day, I think it was. And then Submit has to get a baby cow to donate, I think, to the temple. So their astrologer had told them to not get married in the temple, that it was going to be bad luck for their marriage if they got married in the temple. But they have no choice because Jenny's visa is about to expire, and they need to get this wedding done as soon as possible. And there is no court that would allow them to schedule an appointment for their wedding in less than 30 days. So their only option is the temple. So she gets her henna done, and her friend DePauli is the only one there. And usually in India, when a bride is about to get married and she's getting her henna done, there's like all the bridesmaids are there, all the female relatives are there, and it's a very joyful occasion. But in this situation, it was only DePauli because they did follow the astrologer's advice about not inviting any friends or family to their wedding. So no one is coming to their wedding, but as far as the henna thing, they don't want anyone else to know that they're getting married, and so that's the reason why DePauli is the only one there. So DePauli, she does some traditional things to get Jenny ready for the wedding, and then Jenny tells DePauli that they're not going to tell Submit's parents about them getting married, and DePauli was like, you know what, I don't think that's such a great idea to not tell the parents, because they're going to find out eventually, and for them to know that y'all did this behind their backs is probably going to have some, pretty bad repercussions. But Jenny's kind of like, you know what, we don't want them to know, because if they know, then they're going to try to stop the wedding. Okay, so here's the wedding day. So I have to admit, y'all, Jenny gets on my last damn nerves. Okay, she works the hell out of my nerves. But in this episode, and especially when she put on that damn dress, I was like, oh my God, Jenny. I thought she looked absolutely lovely from head to toe. She was really worried about looking old. She didn't want the makeup to be too thick or cakey on her because it would, accentuate her wrinkles. But I thought she looked absolutely amazing as an Indian bride. Okay, so when she looks at herself in the mirror, she's like, wow, she couldn't believe how beautiful she looked. And she did look absolutely beautiful. When Submit saw her, I mean, you could tell from the expression on his face that he was genuinely like pleased with what he saw. He thought she looked beautiful. She thought he looked great. So they're ready to get married, right? Okay, so they arrive at the temple and they have to do something traditional where they have to, so in the temple we have the Brahmins, and the Brahmins are like the top highest priests in society, and so you have to show them a lot of respect. And one of the things that they had to do was they had to serve food to the Brahmins, which they did. But then I don't know how it happened, but Jenny accidentally spilt the food for one of the Brahmins, and it ended up on the floor. And in the confessional, Submit said, that's a very bad thing that you did when you spilled his food, because normally if you do something like that, in our tradition, the Brahmin will like curse you, and then you'll come back as some type of an animal in your next life, I think. So that was funny. So the wedding official, he's an older gentleman. And he says that, he saw that the bride was 30 years older than the groom. And, he looked like a really wise old man. I guess he's like probably the highest level official of that particular sector. I'm not sure. But he looked like a very wise old man. And he said that if they have no problem with their relationship, no one else should have a problem with their relationship. They should go ahead and do their thing. And I guess he blessed their relationship, performed the ceremony, and he told them, love is blind. When we love, we forget our age, we forget our country. We come together as one. And it was a really beautiful wedding. So they did the ceremony, they signed the paperwork to make it official, and they're married. Submit and Jenny are actually freaking married. I never thought I'd see the day. So I definitely take back my words. When I was absolutely doubting that Submit would marry Jenny, he proved me wrong 1,000% over. And congratulations to Submit and Jenny. It was a beautiful wedding. They both looked absolutely great. And it was a happy ending for Jenny. She got exactly what she wanted. And if she's happy, all we can do is to be happy for her. And yeah, so that's Submit and Jenny. Now, my only question is that if it was like kind of sort of this easy, why didn't they get married sooner? If he was going to go ahead and disobey his parents and go against his parents' wishes anyway, why didn't they just get married sooner? Why did it take 10 years? So congratulations to them. Moving on, Alina and Stephen. So it's the day of their wedding. It's really important for Stephen that Alina has these cats attending their wedding because, while living in Turkey, she had basically like adopted a few cats around their neighborhood. And I guess she got really close to them. So, we see him running around trying to collect these cats to attend the wedding. It was kind of silly, but it was cute because he knew that she would be so happy to see it. And, they both had different visions of how their wedding would go. Of course, they both expected family and friends to be there, so on and so forth. But, due to the circumstances at hand, it couldn't happen. So the whole wedding happened. It took place, and at first the people at the venue were like, well, what are you doing with these cats? You can't have animals here. And the wedding planner was like, look, this is what we got permission. We can have the cats here. So, don't do this. Don't try us today. So the cats were able to attend. And when Alina walked in, because it was an outside wedding, so when she was walking down the aisle, she saw the cats and she was so happy. And I thought it was just really, really sweet that Stephen would do this for her. This is another couple. I didn't have as much doubt with them as I did with Submit and Jenny, but I kind of had my reservations on whether or not, Stephen was going to go through with it. I had more faith in Stephen than I did in Submit. So it was good to see them actually go through with it. And it was a beautiful ceremony. They both looked really nice. This was the first time that Stephen actually looked a little bit more mature in his suit and everything. So he did look really nice. Their family was able to attend through video chat. So they did see the ceremony, which was wonderful. And they're married. So congratulations to Stephen and Alina. Evelyn and Corey. So Evelyn, reveals to us that she's got major anxiety. And every time that she gets that anxious feeling, what she does is she runs, she escapes. And so Corey is very worried that at some point at the wedding, before they actually get married, that she's going to have a panic attack and she's going to run off. And he's trying to talk to her and, basically like coax her or coach her and like telling her, look, if you feel anxious, if you feel your anxiety building up, I want you to know that there's other options to alleviate that. You don't have to run away, okay? So he's really worried about that. And Evelyn is like, in her confessional, she tells us, he has every right to be worried because that's been my pattern. When something happens that makes me anxious, I'm out. So let's see, what do we have here? Okay, so they talk about the panic attack, and then she's getting ready with her sisters, and her sisters are telling her, look, if you don't want to go through with this, just give us a signal, and, we'll come to your rescue. And Evelyn's mom says that, Evelyn tells us that her mom says that marriage is for life. And in her confessional, she says, the way my mom says it, she doesn't say like, oh, marriage is for life. Her mom says it like, marriage is for life, like kind of like it's a bad thing, like a prison sentence. And so that's how she sees it, like, oh my God, I'm going to be trapped in this situation, for the rest of my life. But she goes through with it, and Raul shows up. And remember how Jenny had told Corey to tell Raul that he wasn't invited because, Raul had taken Corey out on a so-called double date with 2 other females. Well, Raul showed up anyway. He didn't give a damn. He was like, I'm their friend. I want to be there for Corey. Corey has no one from his side because his family refused to come. All he had was his dog. So Raul was like, I don't give a damn what Evelyn says. I'm going to be there for my boy Corey, which, when you think about it, it is a really sweet thing. So Raul shows up, and Corey tells Raul that, look, if Evelyn shows any sign that she's unhappy with you being here, bro, you're going to have to leave. You're going to have to go. And Raul was like, okay, whatever. So the wedding takes place. Evelyn looked breathtakingly beautiful. Her dress was so pretty. I am not a big fan of mesh, and there was some mesh in the cleavage area, but it was okay. It went good with the dress. And it was a beautiful dress, and she looked beautiful in it. And Corey looked really handsome as well. And when Corey saw her walking down the aisle, he started crying, And when it was his turn to say his vows, he couldn't even talk because he got so choked up because he was just, really in the moment. And her sister did officiate the wedding, and it went well. Her sister didn't act like a fool, and everything went well. And Evelyn, her vows started like this. And I thought it was just so beautiful. She says, Corey, my love, if the word is persistent, Corey, my love, if the word persistent was a person, it would be you, because he wasn't going to give up on her at all. So she thanks him for pushing her to go through with the wedding. It was a beautiful wedding. When it came time for the reception, Raul made a very funny, heartfelt speech. It was a really funny speech. And they are married, and it was wonderful, and Raul was great, and the sister was great, and everybody was very supportive, and it was a really nice wedding, and we wish them all the best. Armando and Kenny. Now, this is the one that really took me over the edge. So Armando and Kenny. Kenny says that he never thought he would be able to marry another man. So having a wedding was never in his future. He never dreamt of, imagined, fantasized about ever getting married because he was like, you know what? Gay marriage would never be legal in the United States. So, he never thought about it. But here he is. Armando, in his confessional, said that he had kind of like mixed emotions because he was happy about marrying the love of his life, but he was also kind of anxious about coming out again in front of the extended family and friends. And so when the ceremony started, of course, the father was there. Armando's parents were there in the front seat, and he had his sunglasses on because I know he probably didn't want anyone to see him cry. So he kept his sunglasses on the whole time. So when it started, Armando and Kenny, instead of walking down the aisle together or one meeting the other at the altar, they both walked to the altar outside the aisle. So they came from like different directions and they met at the altar. And it was a symbolism of how their lives took different paths for them to unite as one. And I thought that was so beautiful. And so, even little Hannah was crying. She was even emotional to see her 2 dads getting married. So they exchanged their vows. Of course, Kenny was really emotional. The parents were crying. They kissed 3 times. So, Armando admitted that Kenny was right, that, we're going to do what comes natural. So whatever happens, happens. We're not going to put a lot of thought into the kissing and the dancing and all that stuff. We're just going to do whatever comes natural. And that's what they did. And it was really beautiful. And I got emotional. I really did. I kind of had a lump in my throat watching this. So after the ceremony, they signed the paperwork to make their marriage official under Mexican law. The dad, so then there's like a line where the guests make a line and they, congratulate the two groom and give them hugs and kisses and whatever. So the father, when it was his turn, he hugged his son, of course, and he hugged Kenny and told Kenny congratulations. It was so beautiful. And the dad said that this was his very first gay wedding experience, and he said that it was perfect, y'all. I knew that the dad was going to come through. So they do the dance, and the dance was fine, the groom and groom dance, their first dance together, and Armando said that everything fell into place. Everybody celebrated. Everybody was waving everyone had like a little gay, a rainbow flag or a gay flag. The fireworks happened. And Kenny said that at first he wanted to stop Armando from making the wedding as extravagant as it was when they were doing the planning. But from, when he saw how everything came together, he was like, you know what, this was a good idea that he made it so extravagant because, a gay marriage like this needs to be celebrated, and it needs to be celebrated big because it's a huge statement to make for number one, for Mexico to allow this marriage to happen, and number two, just to symbolize for gay unions all over the world. It should be celebrated as big and as grand as possible. And so then it got a little sad because Kenny in his confessional said that he was reminiscing about all the friends that he lost in the 80s and 90s who didn't live long enough to see a day where a homosexual couple can get married. They didn't live long enough to see that. And so that made him very, very emotional. But congratulations to Kenny and Armando. They're married. Many blessings to them. And we're moving on to Ariella and Benny. Of course, we're going to have to end it on a sour note. Okay, Ariella and Benny. So Benny, let me tell you something about Benny. Honey, when this scene started, it starts off with in some, I don't know, some work area. Benny is doing some type of welding. Benny has transformed his body. This is not the Benny that I'm familiar with. He is so cut, so built, so muscular. I was like, where the hell did this man come from? Because this is not the Benny that I'm familiar with. And he had on a really tight white t-shirt, and he had on his welder's helmet, and he was welding something, and sparks were flying. And I was like, if there was a sexy blue collar male calendar thing, Benny would have to be on the cover, or Mr. January, or whatever you put the best looking one. Benny looked cut, chiseled, handsome. He looked so good. It was like, wow. He looked like a damn model. I could be exaggerating. So, Ariella comes in to talk to him, and she's like, well, I'm not sure, if I want to go to Ethiopia. And Benny's like, why not? Just come with me. It's going to be okay. And so she says, well, you know what? I can participate by phone. And so it seems like she's kind of trying to figure out whether or not she wants to go or not. And then the very next scene, Benny is packing up, he's packed up. His suitcases are ready to go. He's kissing his son goodbye. And Ariella decided not to go with him to Ethiopia because she's just like, it brings back too many memories of him cheating on her or whatever, of him having parties in the home. And so it was just too much for her, so she couldn't do it. And I'm like, come on, Ari, what the hell is your problem? Go with your man to this damn embassy for him to get his papers. But evidently it looked like it worked out because the scene from the previews from the tell-all that's coming next week or whatever shows Ariella and Benny together, in the studio. And so it looked like he made it to America. So it worked out eventually, so I can't get on her too much. So, yeah, but I thought she was kind of trash for not going, because even if it would have gone smoothly without her, she still should have gone just for support. Just go there to support your man, your good-looking, chiseled, built, muscular man. And So yeah, he went by himself, and once again, he has to leave his family behind again. But it looked like it went okay, because in the tell-all, they're sitting there in the studio together. So that is my review of 90 Day Fiancé. Thank you so much for joining me. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I did a review of Married at First Sight. Where Are They Now? And I have gotten, like, for me, the views have been like so astronomical, because I'm used to, like, 0 to 50 views per video. So when I saw, like, the numbers climbing on that video that I did, I was just like, wow, thank you. I don't know if those people are watching this review. If you are, thank you so much for taking a chance on your girl and giving me a view. I really do appreciate it, because I really enjoy doing this. So like I said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all for supporting me, for watching. Even if you click and leave, that gives me a view. And thank you so much for taking a chance on me. And I will definitely talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.